Привет, как дела? So I have a question. I get this question a lot actually, surprisingly, and it's how to read boring books. I've made a video before about how to read hard books, but I've never talked about how to read boring books. And there's a blunt answer to this question, and the answer is no, you cannot read boring books. The reason why is because if you find something boring, then you're not going to be able to get through it. It's just, and if you do get through it, you're not going to understand it very well because you're not going to care to pay attention closely. But I also think you just won't get through it. When I find something boring, I can't get through it. I try to encourage people to read a finance textbook instead of reading Rich Dad and Poor Dad. They say it's boring, it's jargony, it's technical, they can't get through it. This just happens, right? And that's understandable. Some molecular genetics books I just don't care for because I'm not that into it. It's too boring for me. Now, what I can share with you is a trick that I used when I first began to explore different fields in academia. So a long time ago, when I was in university, before I went into economics, I started off with philosophy, psychology. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I had the intention of going into a PhD, and I knew I wanted to do something interdisciplinary, and I knew I wanted to be with humans. I didn't know if I wanted to be in economics, in medicine, or whatever, right? This stuff I didn't know. When later on, I got into economics. Now, how I got into economics is I thought, at first I thought it was boring, but then when I actually looked at the models, I thought about applying them to the real world situation, around me, and imagining the models they used to directly map on to the things I'm seeing before me. I did this a lot between lectures when I had to go to different classes or something. Before an econ class, I would sit down. Okay, what's the model we're going to study in this lecture? What's the theory? What are the ideas, the experiments? And I would go into the real world and I would look and see if I could map it onto the real world, right? Whether it was the prices of goods, whether it was international trade. Where I lived, it was between two countries, so I could actually look at international trade things. So yeah, just stuff like this, right? I would actually map things onto the real world. And that helped actually make it a little bit more exciting, because then what would happen is I would read about, let's say, bartering strategies in game theory, and then I would go and see them actually carried out in the real world. And I thought, wow, that was really cool, and that made it fascinating. I've done this with other things too, I wasn't a big history person. Then I started reading some modern history books, and I realized, whoa, modern history applies to real life, real-time politics quite often and quite a lot, and it actually draws a coherent narrative, and that made it so much more exciting for me, right? So if you can just find something that you think is boring and apply it to real life, that is the only way I think you'll be able to get through reading something that you consider boring. But other than that, if you have a boring book and you don't care to apply it to real life, do not read the book. Just move on to something different, because then you're going to destroy the act of reading for yourself, which you don't want to do. So that's my tip, and with that being said, choose.